Should have cake.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for August 20th, 2013. My name is Rob Garrity. I'm the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I'm joined by Scott Bugby, our vice chair, and Jim Lehan, the clerk. Jack Hathaway, our town administrator, is not with us tonight, but we're joined by Marion Harrington as usual and Scott Bragdon. So I must tell everyone who's here and watching that this meeting is audio and video taped, so you are duly warned. Mr. Lehan, would you like to read our agenda this evening?
Be my pleasure, Mr. Chairman. Calling the meeting to order at 6 p.m. First on the agenda is Cindy Andrade for CPA update and naming of the project at Gumps. 6:15, we have Chip Fagan from Millis, who is going to come in and talk to us about missing in action veterans. 6:25, Bob Nicodemus, zoning for C6 district considerations. Under Mr. Hathaway's absentee report, we will consider the appointment to the Historical Commission. Please consider vote and sign the agreement for the Regional Public Safety Communications and Dispatch Center. Please consider to vote Chapter 61A parcel for the 7.8 acre parcel off Fruit Street owned by Jane Newton. Under discussion, we have 7 Sagamore Road easement, update on the Working Committee for Jane and Paul's Farm, update on the Downtown Stop and Shop Committee, accepted of minutes, followed by an executive session for the purposes of bargaining or litigation, where an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Thank you, Mr. Lehan. Ms. Andrade, why don't you come up and join us? How are you?
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
You're going in reverse now, right? 26?
Not quite.
28?
Yeah.
Okay.
wish.
So you have a couple of
I have some
items.
updates on the Gumps Farm project.
Mhm.
So first, I'd just like to update you on the bidding process and how that all came out. The bids were open last Thursday by Bob McGee at the DPW. We had 17 people pull the documents, but not all were contractors. Some were the publications that report on these things. And of the 17, we had 3 responses and our 3 actual bids, and our landscape architect, Kyle Zick, was pleased with that. He said, you want at least 3, and there's a lot of work right now, so he was pleased with that. The lowest bid, base bid, was Sunshine Paving. They're out of North Chelmsford, Massachusetts. After the bids were opened, he checked references, and they were good.
Mhm.
And on Thursday, the CPC will meet, and it is anticipated we will vote to award the contract there. One thing that I think the Board of Selectmen will like, and I know Bob McGee will like, is that Kyle Zick also has recommended that we go forward with paving the parking lot there.
Mhm.
We had bid it out as a gravel lot with an alternative to pave, and the paving estimate came in accordance with his expectations. And even though a lot of people like the crunchy of driving in, for maintenance going forward,
Yeah.
I think it's a good decision, so we'll be voting on that. So, assuming CPC votes that, the next step would be to have them draw up their documents, Jack Hathaway sign it, pre-construction meeting, and they have, in Sunshine Paving has indicated that they would be ready to go in mid-September.
Good.
So that's where that is at. And before I forget, 2 other things. Ann Proto of Recreation has ordered all the playground equipment,
Mhm.
so that's underway. And all the surfacing has been decided, because there's various surfaces and colors. So that's all done. And I would very much like to thank, with my deepest sincerity, the efforts of Karen Mitnick at the DPW and Bob McGee in facilitating the process, because it was them who did all the advertising and such for us.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely very thankful. I think that was it. The other thing had to do with the naming.
Mhm.
So, as you know, and I'll just mention for the folks at home, we're going to have the new kids' place. We will have the parking. We will have eventually phase 2, community garden and trails. Right now, this phase is just putting in the parking and kids' place. So we need a name for the whole parcel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options that incorporate the Gumps Farm name. Oh, that's funny.
It's not a fire.
No, I know.
flinched for a second. It's like, okay, no.
I think the one that we had come up with as a working title was, what was it?
Norfolk Community
Community
Park.
Park at Gumps Farm. And one of the reasons we came up kind of with a long title was in the bid process, the pricing for the signage is in part based on the number of letters. So if we had just come up with a short little name, they would have tacked on additional costs if we came up with a longer name. So that was just a working title that we had. We've thrown out in CPC a bunch of different names. That one, Gumps Farm Recreation Area, the park at Gumps Farm Park. However, there certainly is an opinion from some people that the Gumps name shouldn't be included. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that it's, they feel, well, it's not like they donated the land, they got paid a fair price, why should we honor their name? So, therefore, you can come up with other things. Suggestions have been, Norfolk Community Park, Rockwood Park, because it's on Rockwood Road. So, technically, it belongs
There
to
you
the
go.
Board
We
of
own it.
Selectmen.
Yeah, great.
And Kyle Zick has said that, within about a month, we need to have a name to give to the contractor. So,
Why?
I was gonna say the contractor makes a sign. I assume that's what you're getting.
they're
at.
making the sign.
We could have anyone make a sign anytime, right?
I said, how long do we have? He said, you should do it within a month. I'm sure we could stretch it a bit without a problem, but, it needs to be decided
Yeah.
one way or another.
Just one comment on the concept that people profited from the sale. That's not uncommon anytime you sell
of
property.
course
I mean,
not.
someone has to profit from something when you sell property. I think the Gumps, to me, represents not per se, the farm has been there a long time.
Right,
The home was the home of the original tax collector.
right,
So there is an element of historical significance to the name
agreed.
that, to me, has nothing to do with the sale of the property. So just a personal bias.
Well, Gump wasn't the tax collector.
No, he wasn't. But the property has been sort of known as that
As
property
that.
for some time.
And a lot of people,
Right.
so it's just referred to it as that, what's going on with Gumps Farm. Something that we haven't budgeted for, it's not in this, but we've talked about on the committee, is eventually putting in a little signage, kind of one of the, like the plaque on Town Hall, fiberglass, doing once everything is done, a bird's eye view showing where the trails are, where the garden is, where everything is, and then just, maybe a little paragraph, couple sentences about the history of the property. That the first tax collector lived there, it was a chicken farm, I don't know what
You
else.
sound like a churl. You sound like a total churl.
Well,
So
we'd
what?
have to leave the chicken coop there if we did that.
We ripped down the house. People lived everywhere. I'm sure 12,000 years ago there were some Native Americans living there too.
I'm sure they were.
You think that long?
But anyway, this is just a concept at the point, there's nothing etched in stone, it's just something we've just kind of.
Well, if you did something like that, that's actually a good idea. If you had something in there that sort of referenced the historical components of the property, then have something that's just basic and simple saying Norfolk Community Park. It takes the issue off the table.
Right,
And I'm okay with that, too.
Do we want to have a contest?
Well,
kids
the
vote?
only risk you may have with a contest is you may not like the winner.
yeah.
Tom
know.
Brady Park.
Jimmy
That
Lee
would,
and
that would actually be very
You could do
favorable.
naming
Bob Garrity
rights. Well, you could do
Park.
naming rights too. You could really
Naming
go.
rights,
You could
yeah.
do naming rights too
We
if you
can
really
raise some
want.
money.
If you said Brady Park, my golden retriever would think it was named after him. So you can't, you
Yeah,
can't
the
do
naming rights is
that.
the best.
Cronin Field?
An idea.
Cronin-
Gary's way.
So, you don't have to make a decision tonight. Gary's way.
What's that?
That's the there's a street in Norwood next to Town Hall that's named Garrity's Way.
There's a
It's no one related to me. But.
Street in
I think-
North
I think-
Attleboro called Buggy
I think
Street.
I think Garrity Park would be a stretch, but we can think about it. We can put that on the list.
They budgeted for that sign.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to have him make it. Couldn't you just hire a sign maker, or you have to use
No,
it
no.
because it's?
Oh, you mean the sign at the street?
Or the thing that you said it has to be decided in a month
You know,
because it
Community
costs.
Park at Norfolk is.
I don't know the specific. They just give you a lump sum.
Taxpayer
Oh,
Park.
okay.
So,
We're
I mean,
taking
it-
this lightly.
yeah,
But you will put a sign that has some historical reference to, you're planning on
we
doing
have
that anyway.
thought about it, but like I said, it's not something that is in this plan. I mean, it's something we could do as a standalone.
We have preserved the old Gumps Farm sign. We have that. We did not let it go to the wrecking ball.
Right, and I know Kids Place will have its own sign,
Is it gonna
somehow
still be
just
called Kids
outside the
Place?
entrance. It will still be called Kids Place
Place at Community Field.
at,
Comma,
Kids Place
St.
at
Joe,
something,
Mile
yeah.
High.
Kids
You want to
Place
sell
at
the rights,
something.
Rob? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Cindy wants it too, yeah. Should say wants to
Gillette.
get out there, Gillette.
The
crap.
razor.
Gillette Junior, would that work?
Dailies maybe? is
You
it?
know,
Yeah.
Anybody want?
I'm open to anything. I mean,
Who knows this?
Yeah, no
I don't have a
decision is
strong bias
necessary
with
tonight.
dumps
I
in it or
mean,
out of it one way or the
Kick it
other.
around.
Well, I would be really thrilled to get some public ideas about it. So if people watching or here
Send us an email.
have an idea, send us an email. We'll
Yeah.
we'll toss around. We'll put some time in the agenda next week, next meeting to talk about it. I would love to push back a little on the time frame. You know, because if we do want to have like the school kids vote on one of the 4 names,
Sure.
you know, then we need a little time.
Actually,
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I'm sorry?
I don't think it'll be an issue.
The time frame.
Actually, that's kind of a neat idea.
Like get 4 names and
Get
have
4 names and have the kids vote. Because it is a kid's place. That's kind of a cute idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll talk about. Sorry to drag you to another meeting, possibly, but
When is the next meeting?
September 10th.
10th, September 10th.
September 10th.
All right. So that was all from me.
Okay.
We're very excited that
That it's going.
Going.
Yeah,
Did
I'm
they say
excited
how
that
long
it'll,
it-
get done now.
No,
Next
we
spring.
haven't
I asked
talked
him
yet.
to start mid-September, I don't know how long it is.
It'll be done before the snow flies.
It'll be good to have it underway anyway, and people
Yeah.
will
It
stop
needs to
wondering.
it needs to be cleaned up. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
So
And
The
you,
cur-
you
the
folk,
current kids' place is dying.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
Well,
still-
the
it's still always
equipment is
crowded
dead.
out there.
Yeah,
so
that's what I
it's
mean.
Drive by.
Well,
kind
there's
of a
no other
natural death.
No, I know,
place.
but it still
Um,
cracks me up, yeah.
Cindy, you have a couple of warrant articles for us?
we will.
I mean, as I, I know, I've seen, yeah, yeah, now that you have a quorum. Just the ones that I saw referenced, just those 2?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a project for parking at Highland Lake off Main Street.
Yep.
And a potential purchase in conjunction with Mass Audubon
Right.
of a parcel on Marshall Street
Right.
that connects to Mass Audubon land, because believe it or not, it runs all the way behind North Street on, I don't know which direction is the side of the Audubon way there, that cul-de-sac that was put in. And it would now come out to the street, and the proposal, and Mass Audubon has agreed that we'd get some parking at the base of the street because it's flat. I've talked to Bob McGee about it. I've talked to Betsy Fidgel. Bob says all we'll need is a curb cut, and we'll just put, 2-4 little pull-off spaces in there, and then people can walk to Lynn Farm, which is
Great. Great idea.
no distance away.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, those will be our 2.
Excellent. And anyone else have anything else?
Just one more thought.
Yes, Mr.
On a
Lee.
different topic, for you, maybe at some point, your committee to maybe talk about. You know that we're beginning the process of having discussions around Jane and Paul's.
Yes.
You know we have 27 acres, I think it's 27 acres, maybe 24 acres of
Yes,
property, the Weaver
27.
property. And I know you know, I'm just sort of stating it for the
Yes.
public. We have that issue around the easement off of Chickatobit in terms of the title and the lack of clarity on the title. And so
Yes.
what we thought was access into the property really is not access into the property.
Right. It's still sitting out there somewhere. We never approved to
Right.
put the money out.
Right. And I think it was 10 grand, if I remember.
Right.
Jane and Paul's property, where they're now downsizing, abuts this on 2 different sides.
Right.
It might be worth having a discussion to get an easement, to purchase an easement from them along their boundary on either, whichever side they'd be open to, that would give us, at some point in the future, access into that
Into the
property.
Weaver property.
Yeah. Just a thought for you.
All right. With regard to the 27-acre, the Community Preservation Committee had voted to go ahead and get an appraisal on it. I've been in discussions with Tom Houston, the planning board engineer, because before we get an appraisal, we have to have a build-out scenario. And
I think it was 15, wasn't it? I think that's what they proposed.
I don't know.
'Cause we went on the walk with them on the property, I think.
Oh, they were
I don't
proposing
think they'd
15?
have it. I don't think.
I don't think they've had
fully
engineered. I think that was just a guesstimate to get a pricing on it.
Right.
But,
So, I'm following up, I will be following up with Tom Houston, who has not yet gotten me a price estimate.
And you know the agricultural folks are involved in this too, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually recommended to Rob that we have a representative on the Jane and Paul's
Did you
committee.
should.
recommend a member?
I did.
Was that in an email
No, that was in a phone conversation today.
today?
Yeah.
You gave me a name, huh?
Can you share it?
Yeah, Betsy Pine.
Betsy
That's
Pine?
right, we talked.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it's Rob's birthday, I think. Rob's passing you, Cindy.
Holy smoke.
And you're,
I
and you're the one that
suggested
had the
Betsy.
birthday, and this is
I
where
remembered everybody's name today. I
did,
just
you
wanted
did.
that.
That's a
for the
lucky night
record.
for you.
Even Scott's, which I'm really bad with.
I suggested Betsy because she was involved in the very initial discussions.
Yeah, that's
and-
right. Yeah, I remember this conversation now.
Yeah.
I was on Grant deadline when we talked, so.
Say that again? Excuse me.
So, due to our agenda, we're going to be talking Gumps later on, not Gumps, Gina Paul's later on.
Right. I'm not anticipating staying.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I made my recommendation or my suggestion. I don't know if she's interested. I suspect she will be. She is on Block Island right now. I'd be glad to let somebody else
No, it's a good,
take that.
but she does have that
I
relationship.
think, I
Right.
think we established that to be between 3 and 5.
Between 3 and 5.
Remember? Yeah.
Because then I know that there's another person who's been involved who was previously on our board, but at least this way we would have a direct
Right.
Yeah.
relationship. So,
And I know Recreation has expressed an interest in having
Yes, they
someone
have.
participate as well.
yeah, I know they're looking at that parcel with regard to whether it would be a good field.
Be an interesting debate, wouldn't it?
No, I'm not anymore.
Corn or baseball, take your pick.
I think them both. Cross.
All right.
Turf.
Cindy, great to see you.
Good. Thank
Hope you
you.
had a good summer.
Yes, thanks. You too.
Mr. Fagan?
Chip, how are you? Nice to see you.
Rob Garrity?
Hi, Chip. Scott Bugby. Nice to meet you.
It's wintertime, I'll get to see a lot of you. Absolutely. Chip is a fellow hockey referee.
We have to be nice.
Darren Bean was a Warrior
I do.
Thunder
sir.
Foundation. He came with me as well, and a couple of people from Millis AMVets, including their commander.
All right, have a seat.
Thanks.
Would you want to bring anyone else up? Sarah?
Nice to have you both here.
Good evening.
Thanks for having us.
No, our pleasure.
Nice to be here. I reached out to Jimmy a little while ago. We've been reaching out to the different towns, and the Patriots have put a chair, a POW, MIA chair remembrance down at Foxborough at Gillette, and Sox put one in at Fenway, and there's another one in Boston Garden. And so one of the things we're trying to do is raise the awareness that there's 91,000 missing in action around the world since World War I. And, you know, before that, Lord knows how many there are. But so we wanted to bring it to you folks and see if it's something that you wanted to do here in the town of Norfolk. We've got a couple of examples. This is in a town hall, and I can't tell you which. We were hoping that Joe would be here tonight. And then this is in downtown Natick as part of their memorial, which is right in downtown by their train station. So there's different things that you can do. We dedicated one thanks to Darren last week up in Millis, and we have an American flag and the POW flag in the chair. And the chair is basically to remind people, the chair is not to be sat in, obviously, it's to remind people that there's somebody who's not with us.
Can we keep these?
Symbolism of an open
Chip,
chair.
can we keep these?
Yes. And we can probably get you a lot more, but those are, we don't want to flood you with stuff. But Joe is with, Joe Detremont is with the Rolling Thunder Mass 1. And Rolling Thunder is the big group that does the Ride to the Wall in Washington, D.C. every year.
We know you well, Joe.
Okay.
Not me.
Well,
I'm
we
a
know
Warrior
your group.
Thunder
This
Foundation,
is
but
Darren.
I do ride with them.
And we're proud to know it.
Darren is a sergeant major. Right, retired sergeant major, was a sergeant major in Vermont before he came down here and retired, and he's up at Natick Labs, and he is a foundation, Warrior Thunder Foundation, and what Warrior Thunder Foundation does is support the vets, and he's got an event coming up that he's dedicated to the Fisher House, and the Fisher House is just a great thing for our veterans' families.
See our Field of Flags?
Yeah, we had to feel the flag.
We did a
I have
Field
seen
of
it,
Flags.
right. Obviously, you know Jen DeLuca well, probably.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we're
That was
working
pretty
with
special for us.
She's a pretty phenomenal person. Yeah. So yeah, so we just this whole idea came from Joe Dontremont of Rolling Thunder, and he couldn't be here this evening, but started putting them all the major sports stadiums and said, hey, why don't we put one in every city and town in Massachusetts? And it's a great idea. The two different pictures that Chip gave you, one is the indoor one, somewhere here in your town hall, less than $600. The outdoor granite bench, which might look great on your park out here with your other veteran stuff, about $1,500, $1,600 or so. I know there's many organizations that would help contribute to that if the town can't foot the bill. Millis, they just took care of most of the bill. Fortunately, Chip also owns a flag company here, and he helped with that as well. There are other organizations such as the Millis and Vets who have offered to donate. My foundation would donate to it as well, subject to whatever your decision was and whichever direction you wanted to go. But it's the right thing to do. 91,000 missing people, families who some have passed away waiting for that loved one to come home or not come home. So it's about awareness, nothing political. It's just about awareness and remembering them.
Definitely. Scott?
No, I'm all for it. I think it's a great cause.
No-brainer. And I would love to see us do it soon.
So let's figure out what to do. I'd love to get the Vets agent in to talk with him too, see what he has in mind.
Or the American Legion or the Vet Agent, which one?
And well, both.
Okay.
So
We have monuments to our servicemen up on Town Hill.
Right.
And it's really a beautiful spot, and we go up there and celebrate every Memorial Day, as we
So
do
the
down in the
second half of
cemetery.
the parade,
So
yeah.
it's a two-parter, so to speak. This one is much more silent, no speeches. But our Town Hill is used an awful lot. We have concerts up there. I mean, it's really, we also have a monument to 9/11 up there. It's people there all the time. Of course, our library abuts it, so there's a heavy traffic flow.
perfect.
We're
Sounds
proud
like
of
a
that, and it's where our
natural-
original town hall used to be, up on Town Hill, which is that's why we call it Town Hill.
The
That would be a
outside-
perfect place to put something.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
that would be a perfect place to put something,
Yeah.
I think.
Is it appropriate to sit on the bench if it's outside?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's an unoccupied seat.
Visual.
Yes, it is visual, yes. And usually the plaque that you put along with it, as you see in the picture there, says, this unoccupied seat is for those who couldn't come home. So,
I think it'd be a
That's
great
not to say
idea.
you can't stop somebody from sitting in it, obviously, but like the one.
Especially an older veteran.
Yeah, he might sit in there to remember somebody that he left behind. But,
And that's understandable.
yes, yeah.
And that would kind of dictate where we put it, because we do have those concerts. You don't want it over there where some kid's going to sit on it.
Right.
Yeah, let's put together a little project.
I'm all
on
for it.
this.
I
Okay.
think it's,
And our foundation, and like I said, the Millis and Vets is willing to help. Our foundation did all the work to buy all the parts and pieces, and we'll do anything that it takes. If you want to
So
fund
would-
it, if you
would-
want us to fund it, if you want us to help buy it, if you want us to work with your veteran service officer, you just let us know, and we will
Actually,
help make it happen.
Bill would be a good one to turn it over to, I think.
Yeah, Bill Conklin.
Yeah.
He's our veterans.
Veteran- He's a great guy.
Yep.
He'd be a really good one to turn it over
Got
to.
a card too? You guys want
Who would be the
Sure.
contact?
Yes, sure.
Chip, you?
You can reach out to me.
Excellent. And I'm sure our previous vets officer, Mr. Fantine, might be interested in being involved too, and other folks.
Once you start doing it and the word gets around, you'll have a lot of people who want to be there for the dedication and whatnot as well.
I think we crammed about 50 people into the Millis Town Hall there last week, and
Liz went to
How long,
the outdoor one at Natick, there was probably 200 people there.
once we give you a decision,
Yes, sir.
and we have worked out the funding, however that works out, how long?
All depends on which. If you decide to go outside, granite bench.
Outside.
That would probably be. I think they take a month to commission that. There's a place right here in Natick that did the one for Natick. The name escapes me right now. So it wouldn't take that long at all, and we would certainly, in the meantime, while you're making your decision and discussing with your VSO, we can get a quote and everything like that for you. A quote based on how that one looks. I don't think placement really matters. This
Right.
hill or that hill doesn't matter to them. So. It gets you an exact cost and delivery time and everything like that.
I'm just thinking of timing when we could make a celebration in many respects, and I say celebration in a respectful manner of the placing of that.
Well,
What was that?
right, yeah,
Right.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Veterans Day.
yeah, and you've got a couple of months to pull that together, decide what you want and how you want to do it and so on.
If agreeable with you, I'm going to see Bill because we have a housing meeting I'll take the lead on it if
Please
you'd
do.
like, because I know Chip and I are friends, and we can,
You let me know, I'll come, we can all get together for a cup of coffee and take a walk around, and
I'd like to do that.
Darren's usually free on Friday since he
You
got
buying the coffee?
furloughed because of the sequester.
You buying the
so-
coffee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
No,
Guys,
thank you very
much.
much for having us.
And thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
I'll get to you in a second, Chip. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Good to see you, Chip.
Thank you very much.
A very worthwhile thing. That would be really, really special to have on our town hall.
Nice if we could find some dough
Thank you.
for it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is it Ben who's leading the American Legion now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Nicodemus,
We're almost on time.
is your accomplice?
What time is Kay scheduled to come in?
Your partner
Marion?
in crime?
Marion, what time is
Mr.
Kay
Kleiser, please join us. The chairman of the zoning board,
coming? Okay.
and Bob Nicodemus,
We
the
should be
chairman
close.
of everything.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Good evening.
C6 zoning.
Zoning by Athletic Committee is here tonight, myself and Mike. We were looking for some direction following a memo from Jack Hathaway in July. We had one meeting. This is with regard to any issues in Southwood as the first agenda item. And I brought our history of paperwork, which is the memo Jack gave us suggesting something was starting. The meeting a year ago, which we had with the Brownstone folks, which I took notes on, and I have that as a record of their issues of interest at the time. And the C6 zoning district uses allowed page, if you want it, I brought it. The bottom line was that the zoning by aesthetic committee met on August 8th and really didn't have any direction, had made one outreach at Jack's request to the George Verone
George
guy, have heard nothing, and sent a message back to Jack saying, we don't know what to do next, and we would need some direction, and if there's a major change, we probably would need a sponsor, because not everybody, in fact, nobody on the zoning board aesthetic committee was jumping at starting to rewrite something. We would gladly support a request if it was made, but nothing's been made.
So let me catch people up at home. C6 district is what we call essentially Southwood property.
Correct.
And currently it's zoned for a hospital and assisted living and some
55
other
Elderly,
elderly.
age-restricted
Age-restricted.
housing.
55 and up.
And resident, and retail commercial.
Right. And we've had a developer come to us last year who's negotiating with the Archdiocese about purchasing the property and has proposed a rather large residential development, upward of
250
250
units.
single
when
units.
we last heard him a year ago.
250, that becomes 500, or 250 and 125. Because they were duplexes.
Duplexes, I think.
But they were family duplexes. They were intended to be family duplexes.
It was a house with an apartment for all intents and
Yeah,
purposes.
house with an in-law. Well, okay, so I'll give you a little bit of fill-in. We have heard a little from Mr. Vallone since then. He's still negotiating with the Archdiocese. He doesn't have the deal cut down. He thought he would have it done months ago. So he understands he's probably not gonna make the fall.
Okay.
So we're not under a time crunch for fall, which I didn't want to be under anyway. I mean,
Sure.
Jack reminded him of his discussion about getting out to the town and talking to people and coming up with talking about what he's going to come up with. He's waiting until he can get his deal done with the diocese. There are also some outstanding questions, I think, about the landfill. So that's still somewhat unsettled with him. So I don't think we're going to hear too much from him in the short term
Okay.
anyway.
Is there or has he been given any idea that there's not a lot of support for the project that he proposed when he was here at that last visit? He may have left thinking we might be open to looking at it, but as we've talked about this, there's very little support from our study committee, ZBA, planning board, other people of interest in town have expressed a strong dislike for what he's,
I think you can include this board. in
and
that
your board as
conversation.
well. So has that been fed back to him in any shape or form?
He was told he's going to have a tough sled.
Okay.
So Jack has been the primary contact with him. And Jack did express that the zoning bylaw study committee and a small sampling of the other boards had concern about the size of the residential concept that he'd spoken about.
Okay.
So,
So nothing now. I
the,
mean, we're kind of at a standstill.
that's fine.
Alright.
So
Yeah.
you don't need the paperwork.
No, let's shelve everything for the minute until we
Um,
hear back from them.
But we thank you for convening to consider.
And the other question was, there was apparently an email from town council within the last 60 days, I think, regarding the progress on the medical marijuana zoning work that is happening statewide. We don't know if there's anything we need to be anticipating reacting to anytime in the future.
Where's our pot? Those little kids in New Jersey need the pot.
Yeah, the
Come
only,
on.
the only thing we know is the only thing that I saw in there of any interest was that there's now at least a timeframe for applications.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think they're due fairly soon, actually.
Yes.
I personally have not submitted one, so I don't know what the date is. How
Well, and the
about you? Are
nonprofit.
you okay?
Well, we don't have enough
You're thinking about
assets.
it, huh? Okay.
No, you have to have
Um,
over $1 million in assets as a
No,
nonprofit.
I don't think there's anything right now for us.
Okay, that's, we just, we're saying those are the only two things that had come on our screen as possible issues that might have required some action at fall town meeting.
Right now, it looks like a pretty light lifting fall town meeting
Is there anything else that your board would like us to consider
for the fall.
for the fall town meeting? Is that in terms
Not
of
for me.
bylaws?
Okay,
No.
But thank you.
okay.
I've had one crazy question actually come out of a resident, which is about ground-mounted solar. So currently under the zoning law, roof-mounted solar is considered not in the hands of zoning,
Mm-hmm.
and ground-mounted is, it's kind of left unclear. We've done the two special zones,
Right.
and a homeowner called me saying that she was going to talk to the other people in her neighborhood, and they had houses, but the houses, because of trees and stuff, it wouldn't be ideal, and they didn't want to pierce their roofs or anything like that. So they were thinking, could they get together and do a solar condo, essentially, find a little field and do some solar on their own? But they would need a zoning change. I would read it that way. I don't know what you guys.
Typically, it's a land use, and that's the land use that doesn't have a, quote, allowed designation. If it's not listed, it's not allowed.
All right, so you have to do an overlay.
So there'd have to be something
Yep.
that would permit something.
There's nothing I'm aware of, and you've been on the ZBA longer than I have, that permits
No.
ground solar
I think it's the
panels.
same thing as like cell towers. You have to come
Yeah.
up with the overlay zone, and that's where you can put them.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have one question, and I don't remember the answer. Have we done anything further on the hunting bylaw? We're not gonna get it done
Well,
for
that's
the
not
fall.
for these guys.
We're not-
No,
I
that's
mean,
bylaw study.
Oh, I understand, but I'm
Okay.
just asking, have we
No.
done anything on that?
No. The state came in and told us that we can't regulate hunting in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just didn't remember whether we'd ever gotten past that or not, but I guess we have
No,
not. Okay,
nothing new, so.
nothing for the fall anyway. Okay, thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Thank you.
Sorry for dragging you out for a short meeting. All right, we have action items from the town administrator.
As I'll be his proxy. That's, huh?
We need to,
Bill
got
Con-
something
Bill-
going on? I know.
No, he's here for the executive session.
Ah, okay. We had a rare audience member, so
He was nervous, Bill.
God, someone's going to ask us a question. All right.
We have a request from the Historical Commission to appoint Gail Sullivan, 68 Main Street, as a full member. She has been an associate member for a number of years. Term to expire June 30th, 2016.
So moved.
I second. Oh, he seconds. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? No? Gail will be replacing Thelma Ravinsky, I believe. Thelma's stepping down after years of service on the Historical Commission and is a Norfolk asset that will be, I know she'll still be working with
I know she'll stay
them.
involved.
Yeah,
I know she will.
so. All right, so motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Gail.
We are being asked to consider accepting the agreement by the towns of Franklin, Norfolk, Plainville, and Rentham for a regional public safety communications and dispatch center. And this is with great enthusiasm that I read this option.
The other 3 towns have already accepted. So, were there any questions?
I move to accept.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to accept the Regional Emergency Communication Compact. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
And I would also move to authorize Jack Hathaway to sign the contract in the event that there are non-substantial changes to the contract.
Second.
Right, motion's been made and seconded. Yes, Marion?
Oh, let me change that. Let me add to that we authorize the chair, Mr. Garrity, to sign on behalf of the town and to authorize Jack Hathaway to sign the contract in the event of non-substantial changes.
Second as amended.
So all three of us
Motion's
don't
made,
have to sign.
seconded, and is amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
And we are being asked to consider voting for Chapter 61A parcel on Fruit Street with respect to the parcel off Fruit
Fruit
I
Street.
sound like you, Rob. Off Fruit Street, owned by Jane Newton.
For those at home, this is one of 3 larger parcels that really make up Jane and Paul's farm. This is the parcel that's on the corner of Cleveland and Fruit and runs down Cleveland Street. You will see there's a couple of for sale signs on individual lots on Cleveland Street, and then there's the larger lot on Fruit Street. This is the larger lot just on the corner. It's not the 27 acres, which is up the street. It's not the main corpus of what we think of as Jane and Paul's farm. Got gumps on the brain now. And the parcel has been in 61A, which is a tax code which allows agricultural uses to pay reduced taxes. The new buyer would like to take it out of 61A, although we have an indication from them that they will be leaving 5 1/4 acres in 61A actually and doing essentially tree farming. I think it's forestry work. And there will be a single house lot put there. So that's all I know about it. Are there any questions? Is there a...
Okay, we had previously voted not to pursue the town's interest in that, because the piece of property really isn't the farming piece whatsoever.
Well, we didn't vote. We agreed. We discussed it. So this is the formal vote.
I think CPC actually did vote not to pursue it.
Right.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Move not to.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Okay. We're on to discussion items now, and the first one is 7 Sagamore Road easement. We have to wait for Kay. All right. Update
I
on
can
Jane
give
and
you a quick
Paul's.
update on the Stop and Shop.
Okay.
Myself and 2 members of the planning board did meet. We outlined a proposed strategy on how to approach Stop and Shop with various considerations. For those at home that may or may not know, the parcel of land excluding that which is the grocery store property, which is the one, some people I think get confused on this. It is the lot over closest to the parking lot.
The T park.
If you were in Walgreens and you went straight down, it's next to the T parking lot. It's that lot where the grocery store was proposed.
The triangular rock lot.
Triangular rock lot. The rest of the property is now back on the market. And there are a number of exclusions associated with the sale of that property, and all of them revolve around food, grocery stores, things of that nature. So anyway, one of the members of the committee, not me, is going to contact Stop and Shop and arrange an appointment, and the 3 of us will in fact go visit with the head of real estate over Stop and Shop and see where we can get. The purpose, by the way, is to find out what opportunities there may or may not be to either pursue what they intended, number one, or what can we do to loosen the juggler a little bit to see if that property can get freed up and under what conditions that might occur.
Right.
So I guess I would just say sort of see if we can undo the stalemate that we seem to have been in for the last 10 years. We can ask. So,
Scott, do you have any questions?
quick
No,
update.
no, thank you. I assume it's the restricted covenants that make it the hardest to move forward with anything else there, right? Generally speaking.
Who knows? I mean, you know, I'm not a developer, so I don't know what people may or may not see the opportunity for purchasing that property, so I can't speak to it, Scott. It certainly keeps I mean, the hard reality is we don't fit the business strategy of any substantial grocery store. Now, we might fit something small, like what, there's a new store going in Medfield, in where the old Lord's store used to be, that I believe is a Roach Brothers, sort of a mini Roach Brothers, sort of a specialty store. And there have been a number of those opening up around the area that are becoming very, very successful. They're very small, 15, 20,000 square feet, and they've been very successful. But this exclusion, that in terms of the sale of this property, would not allow that.
Okay.
So. And if anyone, I don't know if you have it electronically, but I did bring a copy, if anyone would like to look at it, of, this is actually the real estate outline of the sale and the exclusions and everything. So if you were looking to buy it, this is what you would get.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, we got an electronic copy already.
I did send it electronically, I just didn't know if you had a chance to take a look at it. So I'll take it back.
Yeah, no, thank you. I didn't print it, but I have it. I read it.
Excellent, thank you. Update on the working committee for Jane and Paul's Farm, the informal working committee, which hasn't been formally appointed yet. A group of, well, that group plus a couple of people did a walk on Jane and Paul's with staff from the Department of Agriculture, the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, and discussed the farm and its value as a possible APR, agricultural preservation restriction. We had a good discussion with Jane and Paul walked us around. My impression was that the Food and Ag representative thought that the farm was a good candidate.
She
for an
said so.
APR.
She said so.
She was impressed that it's still in production, even though they've ramped back severely, but impressed at the amount of stuff that they grew and the cultivation, and most of it is in significant soils. They have these kind of reading of what is a significant soil and what's not. And frankly, it's a little arbitrary. It was decided back in the 30s, so I think things change. But anyway, it was a productive meeting. And just to dispel, the rumor mill, the 27 acres across the street from Fruit Street have not been offered on. There's no offer on the table for that. They are selling that. And the smaller parcel that we talked about tonight has been sold. There's still 2 house lots on Cleveland Street for sale, and the large 55 acres of the farm is not currently up for sale. But they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So would you, Mr. Lehan was on the site visit as well.
No, I think you've got it all.
Anything to add? Okay. Any questions, Scott?
Nope.
Any questions, Scott, Marion? Okay.
When do you want to formalize this committee?
Well, it's not on our agenda tonight.
Can we
I
put
don't
it
know
on for the 10th?
I think we should put it on for the 10th. I was
Okay.
hoping we could do it tonight and then realized late when I read the agenda that we hadn't talked about a vote. And I don't want to get crossways
No,
with the
that's fine.
posting requirements.
Is that okay, Marion? Okay.
I see our intrepid town council is here, and we can talk about 7 Sagamore in the open portion of our meeting. If she would like a few minutes, we could ramble about other things.
No, that's fine, actually. I was just looking at the various documents that I needed to sign.
I can,
Because there's no mic.
we can probably, I can
Let's
do the minutes real quick if you
Okay.
want, because I have reviewed the minutes. I move to accept the minutes of July 23rd, 2013.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no? Then the ayes have it. The minutes are accepted. Now we'll go back to 7 Sagamore.
Thank you.
This is our new town council, Kay Doyle of the firm Copeland and Page.
Thank you. Essentially, what appears to have happened with 7 Sagamore is that a house was constructed over an easement that the town had. Catherine Klein in my office has been working with the property owner and the prospective purchaser. When I contacted Marion yesterday about this issue, it had been described to me that the prospective purchaser was in the position of being imminently homeless because I imagine her previous property has been sold and she is unable to close on 7 Sagamore because of the easement issue in her bank. Attorney Klein in my office has been able to work out compromise that the bank is willing to accept, such that if the town essentially agrees to relocate the easement and put it up for town meeting vote in November, then the bank is willing to accept that and allow her to go forward with the closing. I don't know if there are any plans here with us today.
Mary, do we have any?
No.
So when
No.
was the house built?
I don't have the specifics
Okay.
as to when this came up very suddenly. And in fact, it since came to my attention, I had originally been told that she was imminently going to be made homeless. She, in fact, already has closed on her other home and is homeless. So I was going to ask if there was another meeting anytime.
September 10th is our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, well, I will leave it to the board, then we can either discuss this now, where we didn't have, this came up unexpectedly yesterday, or leave it to the September 10th date where, she's going to be out of a home for a significant amount of time.
I think this fits the exceptions under the open meeting law.
If the board is willing to go ahead.
What manner of easement is this?
And
I'm sorry.
just pull this up, and I apologize, I had to come straight from court due to a delay in Woburn Superior Court, so I have the specifics.
So Sagamore's a dead end in the Cape Cod Estates.
Yes.
And is 7 Sagamore the larger house? There's a large house with a large yard.
Not specific
Okay.
with the issues of the property, but essentially, what is going on is that an A&R plan dated August 7th has been approved by the planning board, and that plan shows the location of an existing right-of-way that joins Sagamore Road and Gold Street.
Gold Street's a dead end.
Okay. It also shows a proposed access easement, which also joins Sagamore Road and Gold Street.
But Gold Street is down, there's protected well property down there. Interesting, because is it 100 feet around a well that you cannot?
The Zone 2.
Yeah.
I'd have
even-
to,
I think
There's
it's
an
more than
area,
that. I
but
think
there is a
it's
very defined area that cannot be intruded upon by in any capacity
Well,
around a well.
if it hasn't been built by now and it's over there, and Sagamore, the whole Cape Cod Estates has already been all
gone.
released and public ways accepted.
I have not been shown anything that identifies where the well in the area is in comparison to the relocation of the access easement. So I can't comment one way or another whether or not it in any way interferes with the distance requirements.
Well, Sagamore's not near the well.
No, that's the long way around.
Right.
It's if they were of some strange desire to ever connect these roads. I mean, this isn't just a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a fairly good distance.
Well, but it's an easement we own. It's
Yes,
not even like a
it's an easement
developer
to the
easement.
town.
Yeah.
So, may I?
Yeah.
Can you sort of encapsulate what they need?
They need, for the purposes of satisfying their lender, to move that easement such that it does not, at the moment, run through the middle of their home. Because the home obviously constitutes a security for the lender, and the fact that an easement to the town runs through the middle of it is making the lender highly uncomfortable for understandable reasons.
So from a practical point of view, we have to do that. I mean, an easement can't be through the middle of someone's home. I mean, that's ludicrous. So,
We'd essentially have to knock the house down to be able to avail ourselves
which
of.
is,
Well,
so from a practical point of view, we have to do this. We have to move it.
From a practical point of view, it would probably behoove the town and the prospective seller and the prospective purchaser to do it. I can't say whether or not there are any negative ramifications to moving the access easement because they've not been made known to me at this point. The planning board appears to be in favor of this.
we have to have.
Of just eliminating,
Not eliminating it, moving it to another location
okay.
on the property.
Yeah. We should talk to Bob as to whether they've ever used, 'cause ostensibly it's an easement to it's an access to their wells,
Okay.
but ostensibly.
we think.
That's the only purpose it could serve, unless it's, just the old, okay, eventually we're gonna have connectivity, which, I don't care about that argument, that's.
Right.
And how many times has this house been bought and sold? And somebody's title insurance should be paying up on this.
I agree, and that actually is the reason that I have hesitation about the board doing anything this evening, because this is an emergency not of our creation, and something that, obviously was something that the private property owners should or could have caught earlier. Having said that, obviously this one particular person is in a bit of a
It's not their
strange
fault either.
No, it's
situation.
not their fault.
No. So, however, just in my role, I would exercise caution. What the plan would be is the planning board endorses that plan. The seller drafts an easement to the town, subject to review of town council, which would be Attorney Klein in my office, which would then be signed by the seller and recorded with the plan. The buyer's council will close, and the town meeting would, at the next town meeting, vote on a warrant article, which would essentially release the existing right-of-way that goes to the house in favor of a new access easement.
Do you support that recommendation?
I do. I hew to the opinion of Attorney Klein that it does not do the town any harm. She does not believe it is adequate for the buyer, but that is the buyer's issue. It's not something that is the problem of the town.
So
Because it's subjected to town meeting approval, it doesn't get it.
I know,
Right.
I know it's not the problem of the town, but we're also here, in some respects, to help the people that live here. and-
Indeed.
I want to live here.
Or trying to live here.
Trying to live here, right. For her purposes, I think if her lender is satisfied, and she is satisfied that this will do what she needs to move into the property, that is fine. I would like to talk to Attorney Klein about securing an agreement with the buyer to ensure that
Sure.
there is.
That it's done.
They have good
That
faith
it's done.
to
Exactly.
negotiate with us in the future.
Did the-
And
Go ahead.
if not, we'll bulldoze your house next time we need to fix a well.
Precisely.
I did not say that. Nor do I endorse that, but anyway. Did the planning board take a formal vote on that?
I would have to find out.
I watched that meeting. I think maybe they wanted to talk to Bob McGee.
Yeah,
Make sure
I
he's
watched it
okay.
too, I just don't remember.
Yeah. It was towards the end, right? And
Yeah.
I
We
think they wanted to
were
make sure
probably
Bob
both
didn't-
pretty tired by then, be my
yeah,
best
it was-
guess, yeah.
I decided to break up.
I hate to have these people wait till September 10th. If there's a solution that we could expedite this.
I do too. Unfortunately, the facts weren't given to us until quite late, and with just August being a difficult month, I think the various vacation schedules of people prevented communication.
The penultimate, well, even if we meet in September 10th, we don't have the authority as the Board of Selectmen to release the easement. That's a town meeting issue.
It is a town meeting.
So,
issue.
regardless of when we next meet, they can't get full legal satisfaction until November.
For whatever reason, the buyer seems satisfied with the representation that the properties will be exchanged. The properties being the access easement and the.
I do feel comfortable having the board send a letter to the lender and the buyer.
I was going to say, I do too. I mean, if we're trusting your judgment on this.
Sure.
That's why you're here. If you were to draft what you think, and I don't think tonight is the night to do it, but if
Right.
you were to draft something that you found provided the level of protection that you feel is necessary for the town, but still gave an opportunity for these folks to close,
Yes.
I would certainly entertain that.
Looking at the site on Zillow, there's no actual cut through the woods. All right, so this is a paper.
It's a
Yeah.
paper street.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even.
And we
It's
have
not
we
even.
have a
It's
lot of those,
Yes.
unfortunately.
It's an artifact of previous not cleaning up subdivision plans.
And I don't think that's even close to the well.
It's way on the other side. You want
That's-
to
yeah,
go
I-
through Gold Street.
Yeah, I
That's why we
mean,
have
it's-
Gold Street, to get to the wells.
If
I don't
the-
think that's the issue.
Okay. If the board would be comfortable voting to authorize town council to negotiate an instrument by which the right-of-way can be exchanged for an access easement over a different part of the property subject to town meeting vote, then we could go ahead and proceed with that and see if we can get some comfort for the buyer so that she is able to close on the property while protecting our interests.
I will make that motion. I move to authorize town council to develop an agreement, to draft an agreement that would allow the town to continue to have some rights of easement over some new location on the property, but would allow the buyers to get satisfaction for purchase of the home.
Great.
A second, but can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And, may I add to that? And authorize the chair to so sign?
So that's coming at, even though it is typically, it's coming at our expense though, right? Should we, instead of buy or sell thing, do you know what I mean? We have to pay the legal bill for you to do all that.
Sure.
Is that something we should be?
We created the problem to a certain degree, in that we apparently didn't, I mean, I think Rob's right. I think this is an old subdivision issue that just got forgotten.
Right, in defense of, to the extent it was the issuance of the building permit by a prior building inspector, building inspectors do not typically examine title issues, so,
It's a mistake.
yes.
Well, every buyer's lender is on the hook for this. Between the time of the building of the house, when I bought my house, there was a non-discharged mortgage on the property from the VA. The guy was a veteran, which had been actually finished up 35 years ago. They had never discharged the mortgage. Nobody caught it until, we got stuck.
Oh,
Having
sorry
to
about that.
Well, it's just one of these things that happens, You get an overexcitable attorney looking back at stuff, so. All right, so motion's been made and seconded.
Right.
I think this is why we have town council to do these things, and we end up eating this. I don't want to hit this person up for.
I didn't know the seller buyer, but okay.
I applaud the fiscal
Well,
responsibility.
because we're doing a favor, and I don't want, like I said, I don't want to bulldoze the house, and I saw her there. She was very uncomfortable. I know the seller.
Who would pay for that?
Exactly. It would end up costing us more, so I apologize for that.
It's a throw-in
I know
with the
that,
gum
when
thing.
I watched that meeting, that. the seller
It's just,
complained
it's an
about it.
unfortunate mistake. And,
Silly.
it's kind of like what we had with the Gumps property, where, the property line just got screwed up, and it went through the gentleman's driveway. I mean, mistakes happen,
Yes,
and you do the right thing.
absolutely.
So motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank
Council,
you.
do your darndest. Okay, we have reached the end of our items for this evening,
I have one
except for the executive session.
additional item,
Mr.
if I may.
Mr.
Go ahead, get the name Leanne. Help you.
Lehan.
Yeah.
I know
I
you're
almost
slow.
said something else.
You want me to help? I would like to read a statement into the record, if I may. Marion has a copy.
Never end.
I want to thank council for, although not specifically Kay, but her firm for assisting me in this. But I think that it's something I'd like to get into the record, and what will help will follow up. The purpose of this statement is to disclose all considerations concerning my potential appointment as head coach of the King Philip hockey team, and is to be considered for exemption under General Law C 268A 20B. As you folks all know, I am an elected selectman in the town of Norfolk. I'm serving my 4th term, and I am committed to careful and deliberate financial planning, and as such have been intimately involved in the preparation of the town's budget for many, many years. For the many years, I should say, that I have been privileged to hold the position of selectman. Having formerly served as head of a large financial organization, I am very familiar with large-scale short and long-term strategic and practical planning concepts, and I've worked diligently with the town administrator, my fellow selectmen, and advisory board members to ensure that our budgets accurately reflect both the needs and financial reality of our town. The past few years, as I think everybody knows, have been extremely difficult for all communities, and I'm happy to say that Norfolk has come through these difficult years in very strong financial shape. I'd like to believe that I've helped contribute to those positive results, and it is my desire to continue to do so. Similarly, I have annually scrutinized both the Norfolk and KP budgets, and with 6 years of experience on both of those school committees, I have been able to provide some advice and recommendations concerning the development of those budgets. It should be noted, though, that selectmen, advisory boards, in fact citizens, have no say in how schools actually spend that money. We vote one single number, And while they may propose a budget, the day after that number is voted, the school committee has sole discretion on how those dollars are spent. So as a selectman, I have absolutely no input whatsoever to how either the Norfolk or King Philip schools spend their money. Unlike town budgets, where we vote only that one, unlike town budgets where, unlike the schools, for us to move money from one department to another because they are voted by department, we need the authority of town meeting. That is not the case with the schools. While all selectmen contribute differently to the town's governance and operations, I believe that my role with respect to the financials in our town has been the area where I think I have been able to contribute the most to the benefit of the town. When the position of the KP boys hockey coach unexpectedly became vacant in July of this year, and the position was advertised, I applied. Neither I nor the school had any knowledge that the prior coach would be resigning until he notified the school in July that he had accepted the head coaching position at Oliver Ames. And therefore, neither of us had any knowledge of this during the fiscal 2014 budget process. I do, however, have a long life passion for hockey. Those of you that know me know that. Having played it pretty much all my life, having coached it, and having refereed it with a strong enthusiasm at all levels, including high school and college. While the position has a stipend, that was by no means the impetus for my applying for that position. Instead, in this juncture in my life, I saw this as just a very exciting opportunity and a new challenge that would further my love of the sport and provide me another opportunity to give back to the community that I love. A few weeks ago, after interviewing for the position, I was offered the job. To say that I was thrilled would be a gross understatement. I could add surprised to that list as well. Working with young men and helping them build on their talents and self-esteem is just an incredible opportunity and a wonderful calling. But while I love hockey, I want to ensure that my acceptance of this opportunity does not in any way conflict with my ability to serve my community as a selectman. Therefore, it is important to me, in fact, absolutely necessary for me, to ensure that my ability to serve both capacities presents no issues at all as it relates to the conflict of interest. I cannot in good faith pursue service as a hockey coach if it would limit my role as a selectman here in Norfolk. My desire to serve the town must take precedent, and the hockey coaching position is therefore necessarily subservient to my responsibilities to the voters of Norfolk, who I am very appreciative of allowing me to serve. For that reason, I immediately contacted Town Council as to their opinion. Town Council, after full consideration, provided me a written opinion that, in fact, the coaching position was not a conflict, and I have that and will submit it for the record. However, from my perspective, that wasn't enough. I asked Council if there was anything additional we could do to ensure anyone, because perception frequently becomes reality, that there was an absolutely no conflict whatsoever, and they said there was, that I could apply for a written opinion from the State Ethics Commission. So I've authorized Council to do that on my behalf, and I believe that was actually sent today. They tell me that they should get a ruling in a reasonable period of time. I know they have 30 days, but I think the experience is such when it comes from Council that they're much quicker to respond. If the board, the Ethics Board, finds in the same vein as Town Council has suggested that there is no conflict, I will ask the board then to vote to affirm those findings and allow me to coach the KP hockey team. I've also spoken to the superintendent at King Philip to apprise them of this, because I would in no way want them to be compromised in their budget process, and the superintendent has expressed similar support and would welcome the opportunity to do that. However, should the Ethics Board find that there is any opportunity for conflict, I will in fact decline the opportunity to coach King Philip. I've asked my fellow selectman, Mr. Bugby, if he would graciously trade representation of KP, as I am the rep to KP. He is the rep to Norfolk Schools. He's graciously agreed to flip with me, but he's demanding future considerations.
Hockey players.
This will just additionally eliminate any potential conflict of interest.
Bag of pucks.
The integrity of this board is of the utmost importance to me. I fully understand that in elected positions, not everyone agrees with decisions we make. That's life. I know in refereeing hockey, someone always disagrees with every decision I make. But if you make that decision with integrity and what you believe to be right and in the best interest of the town, it's not a hard decision to make. And every decision I have made and every recommendation I have made to this town in my 10 years as selectman, I believe has served the best interest of this town. And I cannot allow my own personal desires and wishes to coach a team in any way bring that into question. I just cannot allow that to happen. So, we'll wait to see what the Ethics Commission has to say. If our learned counsel is right and they support that recommendation, I will eagerly step behind the bench and do the very best I can to help mentor these kids. If they feel there is any potential of conflict, I will referee their games and look at envy of the coach that is behind the bench. I'm asking this be entered into the public record. I appreciate this board's understanding and consideration. We will potentially have this on the agenda for September 10th if the Ethics Committee has, board, I should say, has, in its infinite wisdom, responded by that time. So we'll see how it all turns out. Kind of reminds me, I'm a Rolling Stones fan. It kind of reminds me of that great Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want. You know.
Yeah, but you get what you need.
But it has to be, the integrity of this board cannot be impugned in any way. So as much as I want it, as much as I love it, enjoy it, all of those things, if there is in fact any conflict in their eyes whatsoever, I will decline. So thank you for indulging in me.
Thank you, Jim. And I appreciate the how hard a decision that would have to be for you. I know how much you love hockey and how much you love King Philip and how much you love being a selectman. So thank you very much, and I look forward to knowing the answer.
Me too.
For my part, I don't think that I would be happy to vote the exception under Section D of 20B or 20A. I don't think it provides a problem of a conflict, but that's just one opinion, and we'll talk about it again on September 10th.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I know, Scott, you've expressed the same, so I'm grateful for that as well. But it took council 2 pages to say that, so, you know.
Yeah, but you just read 4. What was that?
I know. But the chips will fall where they may.
Any other business tonight before the board?
Not for me.
All right. Well, that will do it for the open meeting portion of our meeting tonight. We will be going into an executive session. We'll be taking a roll call on that in a minute. We will be meeting again September 10th at 7 p.m. in this office. And we thank you for joining us tonight. When we
Return.
no, we will not be returning. There will be no votes taken in executive session, and we will not be returning from it. So I move that we enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, as an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of this board. Roll call vote, Scott?
Scott Bugby, aye.
Jim Lehan, aye.
Rob Garrity, aye. Thank you. We will not be returning. Have a good evening.